Hello. So today I feel kind of talkative, and I decided that this is a good time to talk about Enneagram, specifically about type 3. So lately I've been thinking about this type, and I have a few tips and observations that I want to share about type 3. So I myself identify with it a little bit as I have type 3 in my wing. I am identifying with 4 as my main type, and then I think my wing is 3. So type 3, in short, is a type that is focused on achieving things, and from afar they usually can seem like quite inspiring people. They might be the life of the party. They like to talk about their achievements, about what they are engaged in. They are pretty upbeat, quite fun. They like being seen. They like being admired. So they kind of make those situations where they are admired, where they are kind of like shining in front of others, and this is pretty fun. However, it has its dark side, and it kind of derives from something pretty sad and not so admirable anymore. So basically, I've noticed that a person with a type 3 doesn't think that they have any worth, like on their own, without any achievements, without doing some specific things, without leading a specific lifestyle. They somehow think that, like, if they do nothing, then it means that they are failing. It kind of, like, their person on its own is a failure, and they need to prove to the world that they are not a failure. And you can only prove that by achieving something, by winning, by being a champion in something. Like preferably winning every day, so it's kind of really tiring to be like at your best every single day, because if you're not achieving if you're not being your best self, then it means that you are your worst self. Like, if not the best, then it's the worst. It's kind of like black and white for type 3s. Type 3 is similar to type 1, because type 1 is a perfectionist. And type 1s also can kind of find themselves in the situation where they expect too much from themselves. And that's the same with type 3. The difference is that type 1 expects so much because they think that they are worth it. They have high standards. And type 3 expects so much from themselves because they think that they're not worth much, and because of that they need to work so hard for it, to work so hard to live up to their own expectations. So there's this sense of like meaning. There's this lack of being grounded in themselves, in liking themselves just like that, without any additions, Because of that, there might be those situations where a type 3 overworks, or thinks that they need to do some specific amount of things in a day to deserve rest, for example. They might be ashamed of needing rest, ashamed of not choosing to be ambitious, for example. There might be this need to compare yourself to others, which I would call one of the traps of being a type 3. It's like type 3 is good at noticing what is good in others, and it can be both a blessing and a curse. It's a blessing because thanks to this, they are always inspired, and they also can, by pointing out what is good in others, they can motivate them to keep going, to use their whole potential. And at the same time, they can be inspired by those people. They can learn a lot. However, seeing so much good in others can, in a twisted way, throw a shadow on their own good traits, and they might start thinking that what others have is what they are lacking themselves. And this is particularly painful for type 3s, as they truly might believe that they are capable of everything, everything is possible to be done, and it kind of at some point needs to be done, because otherwise they will not prove that they can achieve it. It's like if you can't achieve something, it's like you fail at it, and they are identifying with what they are failing at and what they are flourishing at. So it might make them very depressed to see how others are good at something and they just can't achieve it because they're not talented enough, or it just doesn't work out. And it's funny because of that, they might completely forget about the achievements that they already have, the talents that they already have. Right now I'm thinking about a particular person that I know that is a type 3, and this person, they would always try to understand how others are so good at something, and they would try to find out how they are doing this because they would like to follow. They would like to follow their steps and also become good at it. But sometimes some things just come naturally, and not everybody has to be the same. But for a type 3, it's hard to understand, because at some point when they live with this sense of worthlessness, they might think that this is not useful to be themselves, because they keep trying to better themselves, to achieve more, to change themselves to be better. At some point they might lose their identity. They might not be even interested in it at all. And in this moment, they completely might lose their direction. So all of those achievements lose their context. And because of that, they might not even seem like achievements anymore. Because what was it for? What's even the worth of it if it kind of leads to nothing? So I think that the worst point of type 3 is when they see no point in their actions. And it's very sad, because at that moment they don't really have anything else than the actions that they are taking. But if they already have lost their identity, any sense of worth, any attachment to themselves, instead of this applause or the achievements, the created identity, actually, if they have lost it already, then there's truly no point anymore, because nothing adds up anymore. Now the question is, how do you find your way back to being impressive, like lively, and just full of energy that inspires others? How a type 3 uses their potential truly, instead of just wasting it on things that are not satisfying anyway. So, as I said, I myself have experienced some troubles of type 3, and I was trying to find a way to solve some thinking mechanisms that are coming out of this type. And I think that the only thing that you can do is to find a way to make yourself believe that you are worthy on your own, just like that, just because you are born. Like, your life is a value on its own, and it's more important to care for your body that is kind of keeping you alive, to focus on firstly feeling good, keeping yourself healthy, both in mind and in your body, and only secondly, thanks to this health, using your potential and consequently achieving things. I believe that the healthiest approach is that you don't need to achieve anything, that there's no achieving. There's only like things happen or they don't. But this might be difficult for the beginning for type 3. But I believe that the goal of like self-development for type 3 is to stop thinking that there is any achievement or failure. There's this amazing song by Sleeping at Last about type 3, and it says, "Gold, silver, and bronze hold no value here." And I find it beautiful. It's like, for a type 3, it's both relieving and painful, because it's kind of like saying, all I was working for was for nothing, because it's not valuable anyway. And what am I even without this all? Because a type 3, throughout their whole life, is not really working on the relationship with themselves. It's not really fighting for themselves. They're kind of fighting for achievements, fighting competitions for competitions, and that's it. So that's why admitting that it doesn't translate to any value, it's kind of like such a shock, because it's like losing any purpose in your life. But at the same time, if you're doing it in a healthy way, then it is relieving, because it's like, I don't have to fight anymore. Like, I don't have to do anything. I can, obviously I can, because I am so talented, because I have so much potential, because nothing is inachievable. But I don't have to. My life is not depending on it. My worth is not depending on it. Like, I'm good enough right now, all the time. I deserve rest all the time, even if I didn't achieve it. It doesn't matter. I deserve things that I need. Because I am human, that's it. That is life. So this sounds really simple, but it's kind of a conflict in a type 3 mind. To allow yourself to simply be human without treating yourself as a machine. It's really sad, actually. But I do believe that it's possible for everyone to understand it one day. It just might be kind of hard. but I believe it's possible. So yeah, I think this is everything that I have observed in type 3s, and I'm kind of basing my observations on myself, people that I talk to that either identify with type 3 or have type 3 in their wing, or have type 3 in their tri-type, which is only my assumption. It's not like they really identify with it or have taken like some kind of test or anything. It's more like I just assume that just by getting to know them and trying to figure out the dynamic inside of them. Anyway, if you're a type 3 or have any connections with this type, tell me if what I'm saying makes sense to you and maybe you've noticed more. And that's it. Thanks for listening. Bye bye.